What's up, everybody? Happy New Year, 2021. Woo woo! Anyway, I just thought I'd make this video just to, I don't know, it's a chance to shoot the breeze, talk, get things off my mind or off my chest. But, anywho, if you guys can see this little dude, this little guy, like, get closer, see him? You bitty little dude, right? Anywho, I don't know, you can't really see this much on this video. I mean, like, hello, he's there, but like, but at any rate, he's just like kind of like that movie Inception, where they had their little like totem that kind of kept them in like the real world, like in reality, or to tell the difference between the dreamscape in reality. They used their totem, like the one was a spinning top, and like if the top kept spinning, then like they were still in that like dreamscape or whatever. But like if it like stopped spinning eventually all the way, then that meant they're in like reality again. And that was how they could tell which world they were in, because they were diving into both things, and they weren't really able to tell which one was fantasy from reality or which one was fiction from nonfiction, like Pulp Fiction or whatever, which one was fake in the real world and the not, because they were dove in, they got so involved. It's like that movie, The Matrix, that it became a part of them, like their DNA, their chemical makeup, the part of their personality or whatever. You know what I mean? It just, they were like Chris Farley, I am one with the universe, and he's like, no, I am not one with the universe. Um, but anyways, it's kind of like people like Jeff Dunham that the puppeteer, and he like use little puppets and does like voices on them and goes into like playing these like characters, even though it's just him like taking his hand and you know what I mean. People, it's a way of like entertainment, getting people to like relate to you and like understand you on a different kind of level. A lot of people think that they are like crazy or like they're, lost their mind or something. Or it's like, you guys are the ones that laugh, and it's just me. Like, this isn't real. It's all like make believe, you know what I mean? Kind of like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood or something, for like the little kids. Or it was like, shh, don't, or what's that other show? Like the Muppets, or like Sesame Street with, Elmo and Big Bird and Snuffleupagus and all that, or Snuffy or whatever, you know. And I was thinking to myself, like obviously, if you can see, I mean, or if you can kind of tell, I bite my nails. That's like one of my a bad habit of mine. Another thing is, like my mom said, if you can handle like the worst thing about like your partner in a relationship, you've got the whole relationship down packed. So it's like I don't know if you could see the light, but like one side's like thicker than the other on my nose is a deviated septum. So sometimes, it gets where even if I have like tissues, I can't breathe. Even if I bloat, nothing comes out. So I call it what I call hashtag snorting. Sounds worse than it is. It's not like I'm like doing lines of blow or coke or something or drugs or whatever. Shoot, snorting pixie sticks. I'll show you an example. And if you guys don't want to see it, it's like warning, disturbing images. This image may not be suitable for younger audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. But anyway, I go like this. Not like picking my nose. I'm like holding my finger to my nose, the nostril, and I have to breathe in and go and swallow it, because it's just buildup, it's pressure, right? So it's like a relief valve, you know what I mean? To make it where I can still like and so if I do it enough, I can like suck it in and be like like this is weird. But at any rate, that just shows, I'm trying to be real open and genuine and like vulnerable and like show my true self and my true feelings or whatever, and like my personality, and just be myself, because after a while, even with, like I say, the example with Jeff Dunham, the Jeffafa and Peanut and all them and the characters and Jose Jalapeno and all that and Walter, they get to where that they do that so much and like put on that like mask, kind of like the movie The Mask, he puts the thing on and he like, and it's stuck and he can't get it off. Or like masks that they wear like at Louisiana, like at Mardi Gras, like for those certain balls and like dance or whatever that they clubs or whatever they go to a certain party or whatever costume party to dress up, and it's like to seal their identity, so they have like glasses on where you can't like see their face, or they have that little thing in their hand, and kind of like what you'd see on like Broadway or a play or ballet, or not ballet recital, but you know what I mean, that kind of thing. So anywho, like for me, when people in their life go through traumatic experiences, it's kind of like PTSD, if you like, and I salute and support the troops, like it takes a certain kind of person to be in the military and the armed services, and it's like, I don't know if I'd be that kind of person myself, just being, in my opinion, just being honest. But at any rate, when they go overseas and go, to like places like, Iraq and stuff and fighting for our freedom and whatever, when they come back, they've been through, seen a lot of stuff, like it takes a toll on them, like not just emotionally, spiritually, just in all aspects of their life. And so it's, it causes like trauma, and it's like, so they have these reoccurring like nightmares. It's kind of like someone, if they're a surfer and they have a shark attack, they have nightmares about the shark that bit them, and so it's hard to get over it because in their subconscious mind it's still, like my uncle used to say, my Uncle Noel, he was like, that dreams are nothing more than wanderings of your subconscious mind. They have no meaning. And I was like, that's one thing him and I, like, I didn't agree on. It was like, agree to disagree. Like, I personally think dreams show you things and teach you stuff. It's like visions and like things that come, like your future and stuff. And so if you write it down and like pay attention, it's kind of like when they call it a deja vu moment, where it feels like you've been through that thing, even though you've never done that before in your life. But it feels, it's like some people believe it, like the afterlife, like they'll have come back as like an animal spirit or whatever, and come back as like, I don't know, like a zebra or something. And that's another thing. It's like optical, speaking of glasses, optical illusions, where it's like, is a zebra like white with black stripes or black with white stripes? It's one of those kind of things. Like I say, like I do a lot of like puns and like acronyms and catchphrase slogans and cliches and analogies, and it's just, it's all like a way to shield and protect yourself, because you don't want to show like, be a robot, I show no emotion. You don't want to be like vulnerable and like put yourself out there in the world, and then they judge you, and then like constructive criticism, and it's like, it's tough. So by going into this facade and this kind of other universe and alternate dimension kind of thing, you're able to express yourself without fear of judgment, because that's why they pay pay them the big bucks, or like, because they're there to be like entertained, like comedy specials and all that kind of thing. They're there to escape life and the pressures, like going on vacation, and you don't want to like talk about work or be stressed. You want to like relax, have a good time, or like when you're on like your honeymoon or something, you don't want to be bothered by, stuff. You just want to focus on like you and like your person you just got married to. Like, you don't want, to have stuff interfere and like make it complicated, whatever. So a lot of people, some people use art, some people use like writing, like I, write poetry, and because it's just a way, or acting or whatnot. It's a way to kind of be something more. Everybody always is trying to search and fill that void of what they're missing in life. And so when you go into these characters, like for me, for example, when I was real young, sorry, I, had cancer like 25 years ago. So it's kind of like, I use the analogy of like, it's different when you're the one that's like going through the motions, like me getting the IVs and being at the hospital and getting the chemo and radiation treatment, versus like being a conscientious objector, like that guy in that war movie years back where he didn't believe in violence and shooting guns, so he saved people's lives by being the medic and stuff, and he got the Purple Heart for his bravery. But anyway, or being the person that's watching kind of like through the looking glass, and like this glass half full, half empty scenario where they see what's happening to you, but they know they're powerless and they're helpless and there's nothing they can do to like fix it or make it better or change it or whatever. It's so that wears on you in your mind. And so a lot of people have like split personalities or like fractured skull and like, they kind of have like, you know, basically they because of that it makes them, kind of like they would say like, almost like bipolar or kind of thing where you just they're like two like, you know what I mean, like they say you play both sides of the fence. They're like you they're just different, you know what I mean, like, and that's okay. It just means that that's their way because they had to mentally like check out, when they were going through that stuff because they didn't know how to handle it. They didn't know how to deal with it. So a lot of people, they use like jokes and hide behind like comedy as a way to, when they're stressed or when they're anxious or whatever, to kind of deal with that pressure and like take the pressure off, like, you know what I mean? And kind of, um, not have that like phobia or that being afraid feeling, of nervousness or whatever. And so, like for me, what I did is I like dove into like Disney characters, in like on movies like Aladdin or Beauty and the Beast or whatever, because my mentality was if I can beat like Nintendo and I play video games, I could beat cancer, like as a 7, 8 year old kid, And so everybody's thinking I'm gonna die and like, I'm on death row and like stage 3 out of stage 4 for worst stage for cancer or whatever. Like basically they're reading me my last rites, Miranda, like Miranda rights, It's like I know my rights, Miranda. And so they basically wrote me off, kind of like he's beyond the point of no return. He's a little too late to do the right thing now. It's beyond the point of no return or, kind of thing. Kind of like when you go into the Bermuda Triangle and then these planes like go through or ships or wherever and vanish and never to be seen or appear again or whatever. Kind of like one of them things, like, a lot of people believe in like aliens and like other intellectual signs of life or intelligent life forms out there, like UFOs, unidentified flying objects, and all this kind of thing. And it's like, I'm not here to push my like play or like what I think about certain things, you know what I mean? It's kind of like I learned with like college where I had to write an essay and be like non-biased, like non-prejudiced, where like almost like I didn't have an opinion on something that I actually might be really opinionated about. And it's hard to do that, to like, cite the sources and just tell the story from the news article you got of this side says this about this topic and this side says the other. And I'm just telling you those, and I leave it to you to decide which, side of the thing you're on, if you're for it, yay, or you're nay, or against it, or pro, or whatever, and all that kind of stuff. Whether it be stuff like, that's why they say don't talk about like race, religion, politics, money, finances, and stuff like that, like at work or whatever, because some stuff are real sensitive topics. You know what I mean? Like abortion or what was another one that we had like in college that they were doing an essay on? Uh, the death penalty, like for people that like murder somebody or whatever, and then they like in Texas they give like whoever, and it's like the instead of the electric chair or whatever, and it's they like instant death penalty or whatever, and so they had to do a article like thing about those kind of things, and so obviously those are definitely things that a lot of people are very opinionated, very passionate about, and like, they take it very seriously. It's not like a game, it's not like a joke to them, you know. So there's a fine line, and you've got to find the right, delicate balance. But anyways, like I say, I would go into these characters, and that was my way of like getting through the motions, and like with my emotion and dealing with the trauma and the stress and the everything going on around me, that I was like lost. I just, it was the unknown. It was scary. Like I didn't know what to do, what was going to happen next, like if I was going to live to see the next morning, like it just, so many things. Will I have kids or not? All this kind of stuff that they were telling me. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like, how do you get through that? And so for me, I would like, do like mocking little voice, and I would start, kind of getting really good at like memorizing like word for word verbatim these Disney, characters like Simba, and I'd get so good that like I could remember not just the songs on the movies, but like every single character's like lines as they're coming rapid fire, like one to the next, on to the next, on to the next, so, like, for example, like I thought of it this way, because that's why like my nieces and nephews, they love me, and it's like Uncle Jacob, yay, or Uncle Jacob, or or whatever, because I bring this energy and this like happy and like this peace and tranquility and like this calming spirit, and this thing that they can like confide in, they could trust me, and they, just like Aladdin, he goes up to like Jasmine, and he puts, I can't really do it, but I got this little thing in my hand, and he puts his hand out, and he's like, do you trust me? And she's like kind of hesitant, she's like, "What?" And she's like, yes, and then they take off, and the first time he's like, then jump, and then the next time he, flips it around, and he's like, being more, whatever, not life and death kind of situation, and more like a romantic gesture vibe. And then she's like, I guess I'm gonna see, because she knew it was probably him, and she could infer that, and she could, and so she was like, I think I know who you are, even though you're like dressed differently. Like I'm pretty sure you're the guy like that I was catching feel, and like fall in love. Like they say, attitudes are contagious, as yours worth catching. So excuse me. So anyway, so like for this little totem little guy, if I was like Elmo, right, and I try to do whatever in front of like my nieces and nephews, because that's why for them, when I visit them, you can't give them a time frame, because then if you don't make it, you break their heart. It's like a parent when they tell their kid they'll be there at their ballet recital or their, football game or whatever it is, and then they don't make it, and they're like, but Daddy, you promised me that you were gonna, come and see me and whatever in my, play or whatever and all that. And he's like, I know, sweetie, I know I did. You gave me your word, that you were gonna try to not have to work or get out of it, and it'd be different this time, I was hoping you'd be there for me and see me. I was so happy, so excited. And then you're just like, oh, baby girl, like, oh, pulling on the heartstrings. And like, I tried, baby, believe me, I tried, but there was nothing I could do, like my hands are tied, and so for me, it's like, it's really hard for me to like let people like down, like it's tough. I don't, it's kind of getting to me. It's like, oh, like the little thing is gurgling inside, because I'm a people pleaser, and I just want to make people happy and make people proud, and like, make sure that they're okay, and that, they're going to be all right, and I don't like leaving. That's why I hate going back to hospitals, because it was like having, what do you call it? Like, the flu 24/7, 365. It was horrible, horrible. God, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, and that's saying something, because I know some people are kind of like, you know what I mean? But you got to kind of take it like a grain of salt, and like kind of, like move on, past all that kind of stuff, But so like what I do is I'll like go do the like little voices, we'll pretend like for this little dude or whatever, and then I'll tell them, I'll go like be Elmo, for example, and then they'll be like, are you gonna come over? And when am I gonna see you again? And I'll I'll be like, okay, I love you, bye bye. I'll see you later. I'll see you next time. and then almost long, I love you, bye. Because if you say I'll see you later or I'll see you next time, you're not putting a time frame because that could be any time. If you say I'll see you next week or tomorrow or next month or whatever next year, they're and then you break their trust and then you betray them and and that's not cool to do that to like little kids, and so that's kind of where you got to kind of you know take ownership and admit when you're wrong and accept that and embrace it and try not to do it again. Learn the life lesson. So a lot of people in life, for me, for example, they can't relate to me. They don't understand me. They don't. I confuse. I'm like a Rubik, and they can't solve the mystery of the life of Jake, like the Pandora's box or whatever. They just I'm like one of them unsolved mysteries, you know what I mean, kind of thing, like the TV show from the 90s or whatever, where like for me, I'm a really empathetic person. I could sympathize. I may not have been through necessarily what someone went through experience wise, but I can infer, meaning if say they were a kid, and came from a broken home and their parents were split up and divorced when they were real little. I don't have that experience, but my parents were married for almost as old as I am now. So it's and they never got divorced, you know what I mean? And so for me, I just take the feeling of the love and stuff that they showed me and I flip it around to the reverse of that, and then I'm just wow, oh my God, words of wisdom. Wow. Okay, I think I can see how that could affect you and scar tissue, it messes you up, and and it's not fair, it'd be like me if I go to Mardi Gras and then, get with some random girl and whatever, like a one night stand or whatever, and then she gets pregnant and then hits me up 19, or 18 years of child support or whatever. That's not fair to that kid. And it's also not fair to that girl, and it's also not fair to me because then I can't be there for them. And so then when I get the person I really want to be with and marry them and then have some kids, then it's kind of like you treated sex as that now you want to take sex seriously, the second time around, that's how you learn the life lesson. Or if you divorce someone and then you remarry somebody else, wife number two, and then now you want to take marriage seriously, you know what I mean? If that's what it takes for you to take it seriously or whatever, maybe you shouldn't have got married to begin with, or maybe you shouldn't have been having kids to begin with. If you can't, be committed and be all in it, it's all or nothing. It's not, it's for the rest of your life. That's forever. You know what I mean? That's a problem that you can't back down unless you give them up for adoption or, something like that or whatever. You know what I mean? That's about the only kind of way to right the wrong, I guess, in that regard. But if you're a parent and then you be oh, and someone asks you if you could do, things all over and not have had kids, or not have been married to whoever, would you have still done it? Hopefully you would say, no, I wouldn't change a thing. I would still have the kids. I would, no matter if it financially or it whatever, because what does that say about you and your character and your integrity and just in a general sense, that that's a pretty bad apple or bad, in my boat, that's not cool, you shouldn't do that to people because people's lives are at stake and they're involved and then you're trick, you know what I mean? It's kind of like these girls and they get with guys and then, trick them and then get pregnant and then hit them for child support because, they were just trying to use them because they thought kind of like what Playmates do to Hugh Hefner. And then they just think, oh, I'm just going to get this insurance claim. So be married to him. And then when he dies, then I'm going to get all this insurance money. That's why a lot of people sign prenups and stuff like that. So that kind of thing doesn't happen. Or all of a sudden you get real famous. And when you first got married to the person you weren't. And so then you got to give them half of your stuff or alimony and you divorce. And then they get half of your things. So if you're married 30 years, they get 15 years of your retirement or your pension or whatever. And it's that's not really, either in that regard, but minimum you have to be with them 10 years and then it's 5 or, 20s, 10, but the point is, That's just how life goes. And so you really better think about it before you do those kind of things. You know what I mean? So that's why for me, I, didn't want to get with someone when I was like younger because I knew I couldn't really take care of them in the way that I wanted to, like right out of high school or once I was like in college or old enough to drink and all that kind of stuff. I waited like a decade later, a decade and a half later, because I didn't want it to fall on my parents to like take care of my responsibilities for the kid and like neglect, it's like animal abuse or child abuse, and child endangerment and that kind of thing where you're putting them in bad situations and then you just got to make the most of it, most of what you got, you know what I mean? You're never going to be really ready like at any age to like get married or like have kids. No time is really a good time, you know what I mean? But that's why they call it Planned Parenthood, where like, you set aside, and know that you're ready, like, financially and like all that kind of stuff to take those kind of things on because it costs money to buy a ring, it costs money for a wedding, it costs a reception, to go on your honeymoon, like get a house, cars, like kids, like all those expenses, like expenditure and account, like you better take all those things into account and into consideration before you make that leap of faith or that jump and make that plunge and dive, um, you know, so because like I say, that's just the right thing to do. And so that's why for me, I would struggle like with dating and relationships because I'm not looking for someone to just settle with or just, to get by or like status quo, you know what I mean? I'm looking for someone that's going to be in it for the long haul. I'm looking for like Miss Right, not Mrs. Right now. I'm not trying to just have like random affairs and casual sex and no strings attached or NSA, no G strings attached, as I call it, kind of thing. Like, that's not my idea of a good time. That's not what I desire. That's not what I'm trying to be all about. I'm not about that life. I'm trying to find my soulmate and someone that whenever I get home will help to, instead of wind me up like a wind up doll, they'll help to unravel me and like calm me down and soothe and relax me and kind of, hey babe, give me like a back tickle or something. Hey, how was your day? I love you. I'm here for you. If you just want to go, take some sleep stuff or whatever and go to sleep and like medicine to, help you go to sleep and get a good night's rest, that's okay. I'm not going to try to burden you and like push you on whatever. Like, I want you to be comfortable. I want, whatever you want to do, I'm okay with that. And they don't like, try to, kind of push your button, try to make you do something you're not wanting to do or make you do something you regret or whatever, and and have that mutual respect where it goes both ways, and so that's what I'm trying to have. Someone that'll have a meal when I get home. Do you know how many times I've prayed to God? No, how many times I've cried myself asleep at night or, had nightmare in this, not really nightmare, but, like just wish and just hoping and like putting all this energy and like being like, come on, man, I'm ready. Like it's my time. Like I just want it to be going on. I don't want to keep having all these holidays where I'm like the only one or going to movies alone by myself or the theater and the drive-in. Like, I want to be able to share it with someone because I compare it to like being Bruce Wayne and Batman and have the $1 million mansion, but nobody to share it with. It doesn't mean anything to have all that or to have a great house, but you're always at work and you never get to be home to enjoy the house you're paying for, that your sponsor or supporting or whatever, or you pay your kids all these gifts and you're like a pilot and you're always like gone all the time most of the year and you're never home. So then like people cheat and have affairs and stuff like that. But it's doing this countdown, so I got like less than a minute. But at any rate, I just hope that people would try to like help me out. Like if they see a girl that is attractive and like decent looking, I ain't trying to be like shallow hell, but like, talk to them and like do like a interview type thing, see if they pass all these little tick boxes for me and like, me, what I want, what I'm like trying to get. So don't, what I mean, waste your time or my time or their time. And if you find somebody while you're out and about, talk to them and tell them about me and be like, hey, he's a good dude, blah, blah, blah. He's real funny. He's, real passionate. He's friendly and just, I don't know. That's all I can hope for. So I appreciate all you guys' time. You guys have a great day. Bye.